He's been called a puppet master, a financial mastermind, and even a controversial figure. His name is whispered in hushed tones, often followed by a mix of curiosity, admiration, and confusion. George Soros, a man who evokes such strong emotions yet remains largely a mystery to most. Why is he so polarizing? Why do conspiracy theories swirl around him like moths to a flame? Is he truly a force for good, as his supporters claim? Or is there a more complex side to his philanthropy, as his critics would have us believe? This is the story of George Soros. In the labyrinth of global finance and geopolitics, few figures have been as criticized as George Soros. His name is a lightning rod, sparking debate and accusations from all sides of the political spectrum. How did a Holocaust survivor, a self-made billionaire, a philanthropist, become the villain in so many stories? The answer, like most things, is complex. It's a tangled web of prejudice, political opportunism, and the very nature of Soros's work, which often involves challenging the status quo. His support for progressive causes, his criticism of authoritarian regimes, and his financial success have made him a target for those who feel threatened by his vision of the world. To understand the man, we must first understand the myth. We must separate fact from fiction, truth from the web of conspiracy theories that have come to define him in the public eye. Only then can we begin to unravel the enigma of George Soros. Born in Budapest in 1930, George Soros's early life was shaped by the turmoil of World War II. Hungary, occupied by Nazi Germany, became a dangerous place for Jewish families, with the threat of persecution looming large. Soros's father, Tivadar, a resourceful lawyer and Esperanto speaker, took extraordinary measures to protect his family, securing false identities and navigating the perilous landscape of wartime Budapest. These formative years left an indelible mark on young George. He witnessed firsthand the horrors of totalitarianism, the fragility of freedom, and the devastating consequences of unchecked hatred. These experiences would later fuel his passion for open societies and his unwavering commitment to combating authoritarianism.
In 1947, at the age of 17, I escaped the restrictive grip of Soviet-controlled Hungary. I made my way to London, a city teeming with hope and opportunity, yet still bearing the scars of war. Arriving with little more than the clothes on my back and a sharp mind, I enrolled at the London School of Economics, immersing myself in the world of philosophy and economics.
The London School of Economics proved to be a fertile ground for Soros's growing intellect. He was particularly drawn to the teachings of Karl Popper, whose ideas on open societies and the dangers of authoritarianism resonated deeply with his own experiences. Popper's influence would go on to shape Soros's worldview and underpin his charitable endeavors. After graduating, Soros embarked on a career in finance, starting at the bottom rung of the ladder in a London merchant bank. He quickly rose through the ranks, showcasing a natural aptitude for navigating the complexities of financial markets. His sharp analytical mind, coupled with his willingness to take calculated risks, set him apart in the competitive world of high finance.
My career took me across the Atlantic to New York City in 1956, the heart of the global financial system. I thrived in the fast-paced environment of Wall Street, honing my skills as a trader and investor. I developed a unique investment philosophy, one that embraced uncertainty and focused on identifying and exploiting market opportunities. This approach, which I termed reflexivity, would later become my trademark.
By the 1990s, George Soros had earned a reputation as one of the world's most successful investors. His quantum fund, a hedge fund he founded, had generated extraordinary returns, making him a legend in the world of finance. But it was a single bold trade in 1992 that would cement his legacy and forever etch his name in financial history. In the early 1990s, the British pound was pegged to the German Deutschmark, a system designed to stabilize European currencies. Soros, however, believed the pound was overvalued and ready for a fall. He began amassing a massive short position against the currency, essentially betting billions that its value would decrease. On September 16, 1992, Black Wednesday, Soros unleashed his strategy. He began selling pounds in large quantities, triggering a chain reaction in the markets. The Bank of England, caught off guard, desperately tried to prop up the currency, but the selling pressure was too great. The pound crashed, breaking free from its peg to the Deutschmark. This trade earned Soros over $1 billion and the nickname, the man who broke the Bank of England. Soros's success in breaking the Bank of England, while a testament to his financial acumen, had unintended consequences. It thrust him into the global spotlight, not just as a brilliant investor, but as a symbol of the immense, and some argued unchecked, power of global finance. Conspiracy theories began to take root, fueled by a growing distrust of financial institutions and a sense that individuals like Soros operated outside the bounds of traditional power structures. Right-wing media outlets, particularly in the United States, seized upon Soros' story, painting him as a shadowy figure manipulating global markets for his own gain. His Jewish heritage became a focal point, feeding into age-old anti-Semitic tropes about Jewish control of finance and global affairs. The narrative of Soros as a puppet master pulling the strings of governments and economies began to solidify. Soros's philanthropic activities, far from mitigating this negative image, ironically provided further fodder for conspiracy theories. His support for progressive causes, human rights, and democratic values, often in direct opposition to authoritarian regimes, was twisted into evidence of a sinister agenda. He was accused of funding revolutions, destabilizing governments, and undermining national sovereignty. These seeds of distrust would grow into a full-blown conspiracy theory that continues to follow Soros to this day. At the heart of many conspiracy theories surrounding George Soros lies a deeply troubling and familiar thread: antisemitism. The accusations leveled against him that he controls the world, manipulates governments, and profits from chaos echo centuries-old stereotypes about Jewish power and influence. These tropes, rooted in prejudice and fear, have long been used to demonize Jews and justify mistreatment. Soros's Jewish identity is not incidental to these attacks, it is central to them. He is often portrayed as a caricature of the rootless cosmopolitan, a term with a long and sinister history in anti-Semitic propaganda. This trope paints Jews as outsiders, loyal only to themselves and their own interests, and inherently untrustworthy. The danger of these conspiracy theories lies not only in their absurdity, but in their potential to incite harm based on falsehoods and lies. By demonizing Soros and tapping into deep-seated prejudices, they create a climate of fear and suspicion that can have real-world consequences. The rise of right-wing extremism and white nationalism in recent years has only amplified this threat, as Soros has become a frequent target of hate speech and threats. The echoes of a dark past are all too present in the vilification of George Soros. What began as fringe theories circulating in the darkest corners of the internet have gained alarming traction in mainstream discourse. Social media's echo chambers and algorithms prioritize engagement over accuracy. Soros has become a prime target in this new information landscape. Right-wing figures invoke Soros as a liberal scapegoat. He is blamed for migrant caravans, protests, and the pandemic. These unfounded accusations are amplified through social media. This weaponization of disinformation has real-world consequences. It erodes trust, fuels division, and incites unrest. The 2018 Tree of Life shooting is a stark reminder. Disinformation undermines democracy and sows chaos. The stories surrounding George Soros are as varied as they are unfounded. He's been accused of funding everything from Antifa to the migrant caravan, of manipulating elections, and even of orchestrating coups. But when we examine these claims with a critical eye, they fall apart under the weight of their own absurdity. No credible evidence has ever been presented to support these claims. These stories rely on fear and misinformation. Soros' support for media organizations promotes open societies and a free press. Deconstructing the Soros myth requires a commitment to truth. Central to the rumors about George Soros are his charitable efforts, particularly through the Open Society Foundations. Established in 1979, the Open Society Foundations operate in over 120 countries, supporting human rights, democracy, and public health. Critics accuse Soros of funding protests and promoting a global agenda. However, this critique overlooks the principles of dignity, open governance, and justice. The foundations empower local communities to address their own challenges. Unpacking the Open Society Foundations reveals a commitment to a more just and fair world. George Soros's dedication to promoting democracy comes from his own life experiences. Having seen the challenges of Nazi and Soviet regimes, he understands the delicacy of freedom. This awareness has influenced his charitable work in countries moving towards democracy. Soros's support for democratic movements often puts him at odds with strict leaders. He has been a vocal critic of Putin's Russia and Orban's Hungary. These governments have targeted Soros with negative campaigns. Soros supports the right of people to shape their own future. He believes open societies are more likely to be peaceful and fair. His work is not without its critics, even within the pro-democracy community. However, his contributions to advancing democracy are significant. George Soros, despite his immense wealth and influence, is not immune to the consequences of false information. The relentless barrage of conspiracy theories has taken a toll on his reputation. He's become a convenient target for those seeking to create division. The personal cost of this constant criticism is immeasurable. Soros has faced threats and harassment, yet he remains committed to his principles and philanthropic work. He continues to support democratic movements and fund initiatives. His story is a stark reminder of the power and peril of misinformation. Don't forget to like and subscribe right now. Beyond the stereotypes, the human side of a controversial figure. George Soros is often seen as a shrewd financier, a master manipulator of markets.
But behind the caricature lies a man driven by fairness and a commitment to making the world better.
Born into a Jewish family in Nazi-occupied Hungary, Soros experienced the hardships of totalitarianism, shaping his passion for social justice.
Known for his intellect and love of debate, Soros believes in the power of ideas to change the world.
He is driven by compassion, aiming to create a fair and equitable society. Soros's giving has had a rippling effect on governments and citizens across the world.
Soros's philanthropy extends far beyond politics, impacting education, healthcare, and economic empowerment globally.
Through the Open Society Foundations, countless lives have been transformed.
In Africa, his support has been crucial in combating the HIV/AIDS epidemic.
In Eastern Europe, his foundations support civil society and independent media.
In the US, Soros's funding supports criminal justice reform, immigrant rights, and combating poverty.
His foundations provide scholarships, combat homelessness, and promote racial justice.
These stories often unfold far from media attention.
They are the stories of lives transformed by education, healthcare, and opportunity.
Communities empowered to build a better future.
These stories offer a powerful testament to Soros's lasting impact. The fight against disinformation is a call to action for our era.
The relentless campaign of disinformation directed at George Soros is a symptom of a larger crisis of truth and trust. In the digital age, information spreads at an unprecedented speed and scale. Social media platforms have become breeding grounds for misinformation, misleading content, and negative speech. Algorithms prioritize sensationalized content, creating echo chambers for conspiracy theories.
This deluge of disinformation erodes trust in institutions and fuels political division. Combating this crisis requires a multi-pronged approach.
We need to strengthen media literacy and hold social media companies accountable. Supporting independent journalism and fact-checking organizations is crucial. The fight against disinformation is about safeguarding our democracies and ensuring truth matters.
The power of narrative is strong, yet reclaiming the Soros legacy is stronger. The story of George Soros is a powerful reminder of the enduring power of narrative, how a single life filled with both triumph and adversity can be twisted and distorted to fit a particular agenda, how fear, prejudice, and misinformation can be weaponized to discredit and demonize those who dare to challenge the status quo. We have seen how Soros, a World War II survivor who dedicated his life to fighting for open societies and a more just world, could be transformed into a villain in the eyes of many. His philanthropy, his support for democracy, even his cultural identity, manipulated and contorted into evidence of a sinister plot. But the story of George Soros is also a testament to the resilience of truth. While disinformation and conspiracy theories may hold sway for a time, they ultimately crumble under the weight of their own contradictions. The truth, though often obscured, has a way of emerging, of breaking through the noise and asserting itself. Reclaiming Soros's legacy requires a collective effort to challenge the distorted narratives that have come to define him in the public eye. It demands that we engage in critical thinking, that we question the sources of our information, and that we refuse to be swayed by fear-mongering and prejudice. A world of open societies was a vision worth fighting for. At the heart of the criticisms against George Soros lies a fundamental disagreement about the kind of world we want to live in. Soros, shaped by his experiences under Nazi and Soviet rule, has dedicated his life to promoting open societies characterized by transparency, accountability, respect for human rights, and a commitment to democratic values.
This vision, while widely shared, is also fundamentally challenging to those who benefit from closed systems, from a lack of accountability, from the suppression of differing opinions. Authoritarian leaders, those who seek to consolidate power and silence opposition, see Soros's work as a direct threat to their own interests.
But the fight for open societies is not just about opposing authoritarianism. It's about creating a world where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential, regardless of their background, beliefs, or identity. It's about building societies that are more just, more equitable, and more responsive to the needs of all their citizens.
This is a vision worth fighting for, a vision that requires constant vigilance, engagement, and a willingness to stand up for our values. It demands that we challenge those who seek to divide us, who exploit our fears, and who undermine the very foundations of our democracies.
Beyond the noise, there's a call to hope, action, and critical thinking. George Soros's story, often framed negatively, offers hope. It shows that individuals can make a difference against misinformation. His life is a testament to philanthropy and progress that will live on for generations to come. It's a call to action, to stand up for our values and a better future. We must not let false stories drown out hope and truth. Embrace critical thinking and respectful dialogue. Our future depends on navigating the information age with wisdom. Like and subscribe right now.